It's
Yeah,
funny, we had struggled with fertility issues, but undiagnosed. We joke a lot. We joke about it often, my wife and I, that you spend your whole like adult life, from whatever point people start to have relationships, hoping that someone doesn't get pregnant, and then when you're trying to get pregnant and it's not happening right away, it's literally the most frustrating and can be incredibly debilitating process. And my wife struggled with this all like massively emotionally. She was just like, why is this happening? And we didn't have any diagnosed medical problems. We went through, she might get mad at me for sharing all this, but I think it's important for people that are going through this. She struggled with this for I want to say 3 or 4 years. We went through 7 in vitros, 3 miscarriages, and in vitro fertilization is like 10 to 20 grand a pop. And when it's not working, so she got pregnant 3 times like that, then miscarriage, 4 of them didn't work, and you're just like, wow, I never imagined that this might not happen. Now, coincidentally, we had started the adoption process as we were trying to start have our own biological kids, and it just so happened that the adoption process went through and we got matched up with my daughter before she got pregnant. But literally, and if someone told me this story before it had happened to me, I would have said, oh, that's crazy. That's all like psychosemantic. It's not real. It's just coincidental. But as soon as we went over there and took custody of my daughter, we were there for a week together. You go through the adoption process in the local courts. She's, according to Ethiopia, she was ours, but then we had to wait for the documentation to be approved and finalized with the U.S. Embassy in Addis Ababa. So she had to live there for 2 months in this guest house. That's a whole topic for a whole nother podcast. And I came home. I was home for about a month, and then she says she wasn't feeling that well. My wife's never been in the hospital for anything. She's never get sick, nothing. Never had a broken bone, nothing. And so she says, oh, man, I'm not feeling good, which maybe she said to me 3 times in her life. And I said, oh, I'm sure it'll get better. And I was going back for Thanksgiving after I had been gone for 4 weeks. So when I went over, she said, bring a pregnancy test just in case. And I was like, man, I'm done spending money on all this pregnancy stuff. It's been like a bottomless pit. It doesn't matter. Nothing's going to change. So, and I was just ranting. But then I brought the test. She took the test. She's pregnant. But again, she had been pregnant a few times before. So we weren't like, we didn't want to overreact. We were just like, oh, it is what it is. Let's see what happens. And she came home a month after that. And my son was literally due on my daughter's first birthday, and he came 3 weeks early. But after that, then we had 2 more kids, exactly 2 years apart. All their birthdays are within 5 weeks in the summer. So if someone is listening and they are struggling with fertility, I know firsthand that it can be incredibly frustrating. All I can say is enjoy the process and keep trying. It's different if you have an identifiable medical problem that they're trying to treat with medication, but we didn't. That wasn't the case for us, and all the medicine in the world didn't do anything. Just nature just kind of took over. Now, whether or not it had anything to do psychologically with having our first daughter in our custody, I'm a big believer in science, so I tend to think it's coincidental, but it's hard to argue with what happened.
right. Yeah, that is helpful, and I'm glad you brought that up because I've, thankfully we didn't really have issues, but a lot of my friends have had issues with that. And what would you say, maybe to even like other guys out there that are trying that? Obviously it's hard for them, but just so debilitating for their wives. What can they say, do? Are there any tips that you can give people to just, ride through it or just be there for them?
Yeah, you know what? This goes along with my own parenting style with my kids, and it's the way I dealt with my wife. And I was like, listen, what are you gonna do? Like, what are you gonna do? We can only deal with what's in front of us. Like, it will happen when it happens, and if it doesn't, then that's the way things are meant to be, and we'll just keep adopting kids. And it's hard to explain. Once you haven't adopted a child, you realize it's the exact same thing. There's not a single ounce of different emotion involved with my adopted daughter versus my biological sons. I love them all the same. She gets yelled at and disciplined as much as the rest of the kids, and she gets the same amount of love. If anything, I have to make sure that she constantly understands that she's loved just as much as everyone else. But I might not be the best person, because my wife used to get really emotional about it, and I'm like, dude, I married you. I didn't marry you with the only objective is to have children. We'll figure it out. We'll make this work. We're gonna, if we only have adopted kids, then it is what it is. But it was really, like I said, I might not be the best person, because she was really struggling with it and had a hard time feeling like, I don't know if worthy is the right word, but she used to always feel like, empty inside. Like, why this is all I ever wanted to be, was a mom, like, and a wife. Why is this happening to me? But I don't know, I just stay the course, keep working. I just say, keep plugging away. No pun intended.
Yeah, so you got to laugh about it sometimes too. That's the only way to get through the day sometimes, right?
Dude, you have to. What are you going to do? It's like out of your control. Nature is going to do what it's going to do. You can't beat yourself up over things that you cannot control, and that falls into that category. You can just try every month and do your best.